Hello there guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today we are driving the brand new Ford Puma ST. So what is it exactly? Well, initially the Puma was a sports coupe model sold exclusively in Europe. It was a small car that was meant to be like sporty and compact to offer a great thrills per kilo ratio, if you will. But it was pulled out of production in 2002. And seeing how the world is dominated by crossovers and SUV these days, the people from Ford decided to bring back the Puma name, but to turn it into a crossover. So this is the brand new, the modern day Ford Puma. It's a crossover, it's a B segment crossover. That looks really good, and I think it harks back to the original. The one we're driving today is the brand new Puma ST, which is the most powerful and the fastest model in this segment right now. Basically, we're looking at a Ford Fiesta on stilts right here. And I have to say, it really drives closely as to what the Fiesta ST is offering. But I'll get into that a bit later on. From the outside, you will notice that the Puma ST has a couple of key differences compared to its regular Puma brothers. Basically, up front you have an ST badge, of course. You have a different grille, a bigger grille, to help cool that turbocharged engine under the hood. And you also get a spoiler under the front bumper that is said to increase the downforce on the front axle by 80% compared to the normal Puma. That's a lot. Also, you have a Ford Performance badge on that spoiler. Just to remind you that this car has been put through the capable hands of the people over at Ford Performance. And this is, according to them, the first SUV, even though I wouldn't define this car as an SUV, the first crossover, I would rather say, tuned by the Ford Performance division. And they want you to know that, for example, when you open the doors, you have Ford Performance door sills inside the cabin in a brushed aluminum plaque. That looks actually really nice. So from the outside, you'll also notice this car is an ST. If you look at the wheels, which are 19-inch wheels with a new design and a different paint on them. It's gunmetal gray, I think, on this car. And you also notice the red brake calipers behind and the bigger brakes. But in order to notice the bigger brakes, you have to be a keen enthusiast. The brakes are 17% larger than on the regular Puma. Something you might want to keep in mind later on. So yeah, around the back you also have two tailpipes, two metal tailpipes that look really good. They're done in a brushed metal finish. Also a plus from me. And you also get the new diffuser on the bumper. Doesn't really help out with anything, just looks nice. And the big spoiler at the top of the tailgate that is supposed to increase downforce on the rear axle. So apart from all these rather small cues, I would say, there is something you will instantly notice on this car, and something that only ST models will get: the color. This car is dressed in a mean green color, as Ford calls it. Looks really good and attracts a lot of looks wherever you go, especially with all these black details on the outside, like the mirror caps or the roof and so on. So yeah, overall it looks good if you ask me. I really like it. Inside the cabin, plenty of differences compared to a regular Puma. From the steering wheel, which has a rectangular shape at the bottom and the ST nameplate on it, and is wrapped in leather, and it's actually pretty rich leather, feels nice and soft to the touch, to the seats, which are Recaro seats, really stiff, really narrow. They don't fit everyone, they don't really fit me. Yeah, that's not a surprise for me because I rarely fit into bucket seats, but these are close to bucket seats. They're not exactly bucket seats. They look great, they feel great, the materials on them are really good, and they offer a lot of bolstering on the sides and on the bottom. But as I said, I don't really fit in them, so it was only natural to expect me to say that they offer great lateral support and side support. So that's about it. You also get floor mats with the ST badging on them, and some really interesting fake carbon fiber details on the dash. Overall, it looks really good, feels good to the touch, feels rather premium, and the door panels have some rough plastics on the top side over here, but at the same time they have half of them wrapped in leather, which really helps out with the quality feel of this interior. I really can't complain. There's also a digital instrument cluster, which changes its appearance depending on the driving mode you select, because on the Puma ST you have up to 4 driving modes. You have Eco, Normal, Sport, and Racetrack, but Racetrack is an optional feature. You only get it on the ST2 package, and it brings a couple of different settings compared to Sport. So in Sport mode, the car is on full attack mode. It opens a valve in the exhaust in the back, improves the throttle response quite a lot compared to Normal and Eco modes, and the car really feels alive. The steering is faster by 25% compared to the regular Puma, and I can't really say if it makes a difference or not, because I didn't drive the regular Puma. This is the only Puma I gained access to so far since the car was launched. So yeah, depending on the driving mode, the car will change its behavior. That's understandable, and it does make a big difference. Eco mode and normal mode don't really have a big difference in feel, even though you will notice that the engine will shut off one of its cylinders when it's driving in Eco mode. So basically you're left running in 2 cylinders. I'll talk about that later on. But when you get into Sport mode and you have a shortcut button here, it says S, and you press it and the car enters sport mode directly, which is something I like. You don't have to browse through the driving modes. So what's under the hood? Well, under the hood is the same 3-cylinder 1.5 liter EcoBoost turbocharged engine from the Ford Fiesta ST. It develops the same 200 horsepower and up to 320 Newton meters of torque. So that makes this car quite lively on the road. It also makes it capable of reaching 100 kilometers an hour from standstill in 6.7 seconds, which is not eye-watering fast, but it's decent. It's more than decent in my book, and I think it's the fastest in the B segment right now. So you get a manual transmission with it. That's the only choice, but you get a launch control feature, which is optional. Basically, the car will set the RPM to the perfect optimum range, so that you have the perfect amount of boost in the engine whenever you're setting off. And then once it is set, you just release the clutch and you set off. And you know what? It's quite lively off the line. Also in racetrack mode, you have some shift indicators in the instrument cluster that help you achieve those perfect shifts. Also a nice touch from Ford. What I like about the car is that the pedals are positioned rather well, and you can heel and toe rather easily. You can press the brake pedal and the acceleration pedal easily. They're close together. I don't like the fact that the clutch is not offering a lot of feedback. You don't really know when it hooks up or not. Something they could have worked a bit harder at, especially since this car is meant to be used by enthusiasts. Well, the gearbox at least is nice. It has a mechanical feel to it. The gates are really close together. Can't really complain about it. What I can complain about is the fact that the gear shift lever is so low, and you have this armrest over here that's a bit tall. The distance between them isn't big enough so that you can, you know, put your elbow low enough. But then again, I have rather long arms, so that might be just my problem. But I would have liked this gear shift lever to be a bit higher so that I can switch a lot better, because most of the time I end up using the gear shift lever with my fingers like this, and you know, that's not ideal. So other changes done to the car compared to the regular Puma include a set of torsion beams at the back that are stiffer by 40% compared to the Ford Fiesta, and 50% compared to a regular Puma. So that's a noticeable difference. Also, the anti-roll bars are stiffer 24 millimeters at the front and 28 millimeters at the back, because there's a anti-roll bar at the back too. So the car does feel stiff. The front axle has a McPherson setup. It has plenty of grip, especially if you get the car with the optional limited slip differential, mechanical limited slip differential Ford offers you from Quaife, if I'm not mistaken, which is supposed to help out with understeer on the corner exit, and it does work. The car simply pulls you out of the corner on the ideal line, and it feels really, really good. At the same time, you get torque vectoring on this car, which is also a really nice touch. And it's pretty obvious that the people from Ford Performance really did their math. According to them, the stiffer torsion beams at the back should help compensate the taller center of gravity of this car. And I think it works. The rear end is really stiff, and the car has a tendency to rotate on the front axle, which is really nice, especially in high-speed corners. There is a touch of understeer if you do push this car into a corner with too much speed, but that's only to be expected. The car also should come with Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires as standard, and they are specially developed for this car according to Ford. The car we're driving has winter tires because it's winter time, but they're still Michelin Pilot Sport, Pilot Alpine tires, so they do have some decent amount of grip. Other than that, I should also mention the fact that even though the brakes are 17% bigger than on the regular Puma, they don't really, I mean, I didn't feel any fade, but I don't like the fact that they have a lot of initial bite. They are way too sensitive at lower speeds, so you end up, braking way too hard around town. That does help out when you push the car to the limit and you need a good pedal response in the brake, but when you drive it around town, that's not ideal. But then again, this car was created for enthusiasts. So if you're planning on buying one, you should know from the get-go that it's pretty stiff. The seats are stiff, they're not too wide, so you better go and test one yourself to see if you fit comfortably in one. Also, you should know the ride is not comfortable. It's pretty stiff. I like the fact that the suspension is quiet. They did a good job of muffling out everything, but it is stiff. And the car also comes with vectoring springs, which basically means they have they are slightly curved, and they're supposed to counterbalance the inertia of the car. It also comes with semi-adaptable dampers, which are new technology created by Hitachi, which basically means the dampers will adapt depending on the frequency at which they are vibrating. It's quite interesting. I can't really tell if it works or not, because as I said, I didn't drive a regular Puma before to have a baseline to compare it to. But overall, I really like the Puma ST. For an enthusiast that wants a crossover instead of the Ford Fiesta, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's really fun to drive, but you do have to keep the the cons in mind whenever you're going to buy one. If you're going to buy one, you need to keep in mind that it's a stiff car. You need to keep in mind everything that's wrong with it. I mean, the shortcomings it has, because you can't have a high-performance car that's as comfortable as a normal, regular car. It just doesn't work. That said, thank you guys for watching my review. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure I didn't answer every single one of your questions, but if you have anything else you want to know about the car, just drop me a question in the comment section below, and I will be more than happy to answer them. Until next time, don't forget to feed your passions and, of course, subscribe to this channel. Ciao.